everyone. Can someone please confirm you can hear me?
Yes, Didi.
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, thank you. I'm assuming for a lot of you, this is going to be a first session by DSC. So I'll go on and introduce what DSC is exactly first before we move on to the next session about Android study apps. So Google developed student clubs, university-based community groups for students, which is Google Developer Technologies. Students from all undergraduate or graduate programs with an interest in growing as a developer are welcome. By joining VDSC, students grow their knowledge in a peer-to-peer learning environment, build solutions for local businesses and the community. We host sessions, theories, courses, and events covering a number of technical topics, including cloud, Android, Flutter, machine learning, and web. And we also encourage open source development. We also get to bring your innovative ideas to life through GDSC Solution Challenge. And to create those ideas, you use all the knowledge that you learn that you gain throughout these sessions organized by GDSC. In this academic session of 2021 to 2022, we have till now hosted the Google Cloud campaign and a session on Hacktober. And now that we have more people who are enthusiastic about technology, we have a lot more in store for you throughout the year. So to be a part of GDSC IIT Goa, please join the chapter using the link that I'm going to be putting in the chat. Uh, okay, so is my voice like really low? You cannot hear me? Is it just a problem with Prathamesh or is it a problem with everyone? If it's a problem with everyone, then I'm going to
It's
try to.
bursting.
Uh, okay, give me a moment.
Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll introduce again. So Google Developer Student Clubs are university-based community groups for students interested in Google Developer technologies. Students from all undergraduate or graduate programs with an interest in growing as a developer are welcome. By joining the GDSC, students grow their knowledge in a peer-to-peer learning environment and build solutions for local businesses and their communities. We host sessions, series, courses, and events covering a number of technical topics, including cloud, Android, Flutter, machine learning, and web development. And we also encourage open source development. You also get to bring your innovative ideas to life through GDSC Solution Challenge, and you gain all the knowledge you need for that throughout these sessions and series that we host throughout the year. So, in this academic session of 2021 to 22, we have till now organized the Google Cloud campaign and a session on Hacktober Fest. And now that we have more people who are enthusiastic about technology, we have a lot more in store for you throughout the year. So, to be a part of GDSC IIT Goa, please join the chapter using the link that I've put in the chat. If it's lost in the horde of messages, let me just put it again. So make sure you join the chapter so that you can stay updated with all the events that we host. And so a GDSC is all about community and learning from each other. So please engage well in this session and try to learn as much as possible while maintaining the decorum and being respectful to everyone in this community. I will now hand over the session to our Android Study Jams facilitator, Aniket Chaudhary. Aniket, please introduce yourself and go ahead with the session. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dee. I hope I am audible.
Yes.
Yes, Aniket.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. First of all, a very warm welcome to all the freshers who have joined this session. I hope you had a great day at academics today. So, starting with the session, I would like you all to open slido.com and enter this code. We will have some interesting questions shortly. Please let me know if you face any issue in joining this session.
Aniket, share the screen.
Oh, very sorry, very sorry. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Yeah. Yep. So all of you, please open slido.com and enter the code 627052. One of the team member, please enter this code in the chat box also. It's preferable that you join with a mobile so that you can see the slides along with on your laptop. So I hope all of you have joined the session by now, Slido session by now. So let us go to our first question. So what is the one app you cannot live without? Please enter the your answer on the text box available on that website. Okay, WhatsApp was the first choice. Google, YouTube. Okay, most of the Google apps are there. Google Sheet, Spotify, yeah, Telegram. Okay, Google Play. Yeah, of course. Without that, you can't have any app on your phone. Yeah. So yeah, from the so we can see that most of you have choose Google as the one app, and yeah, without Google, most of the our task doesn't work. All the day we need to Google something, and not only that, Google provides some links to other apps also, like Google and all its affiliates like Google News, YouTube, Chrome. All these are the apps that we cannot live without, uh, and we cannot imagine our lives today without these apps. So yeah, now next question: which website you feel that it should have been a mobile app, or should the website should have a mobile app too? Any website you feel that doesn't have. I'm not sure if Wikipedia has its website or not. Okay, IIT Goa website, nice. Okay, I have an interesting news for you, all those who are writing IIT Goa website. Yeah, free pick. IIT Goa AMS, yeah. We also need that app. Okay, all Google Classroom, Sheets, Word mingles in a single app. Okay, I guess Google Classroom takes care of that. Like you need a Google Classroom and a Drive, and all you can do all your work there. Valorant is a mobile game, I guess. I am not sure. I am not into gaming much. Is it a mobile app or it's a desktop app?
It's a
Please let
desktop
me know.
game.
Okay. Instagram is already an app. Okay. Mathway is an app. Okay. So most of you want IIT Goa website to be developed into an app. So I will share some interesting news regarding that towards the end of this session. So thank you for joining this Slido session. Now we move on to our Android Study Jams. So what are Android Study Jams? Android Study Jams are community organized study groups for people to do hands-on learning on Android app development. So these study jams take part through the Google course, through the course that is provided by the Google known as Android Basics in Kotlin, which are specifically focused on learning how to build Android apps, and that too without any prior Android experience. Not only Android experience, you don't need any programming experience also to continue in this Android study jams. To start off with the journey, first you need to create a developer profile at Google. So the Google developer profile has all the badges you will earn throughout this course, virtual badges, and you can use these badges to showcase your achievements. These can be shared on LinkedIn also. You can put in on your resume also if you want for the some complex achievements pathways like that. And we and as a facilitator, I need this profile of all the participants to track your progress throughout this course. So I will quickly go through how you can create a developer profile. Yeah. Hi. Just a minute. Go to this link, developers.google.com profile /u/new. Others, please put this link in the chat. Uh, uh, Let me wait till he puts the message. Yeah. So please open this web link and then click on sign in with Google. This all step you have to do if you already don't have a this website, this developer profile. If you already created, then do not do this step. Then enter your email. I will use my mail. So yeah, that's all you need to do. The developer profile has been created. Now, one major thing you have to do, you have to go to this settings option. Then go to your account and make your account public. It's by default it is set to private. Please change it to public. And also you can create a custom web address also. Like in my account, it is showing some numbers. You can create some username also. Like I can add my username here. You can use it or you can skip it. That's not a necessary part. And then just save the account. So the next thing you need to do, go to your my profile option and copy this web address, this developers.google.com profile /u/your username. This may be some number if you didn't set up a custom URL, and please share this link in the Google form that was provided to you through the mail. Some of you have filled the form and haven't added your profile ID. If you don't add your profile, we cannot track your progress throughout the program and you will not be eligible for any of the rewards. So for those who have added the wrong, there is an edit option in the Google form. Please use that and enter your correct profile name. And for those who have not yet filled, please fill it as soon as possible. 。  . 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 if you haven't received it yet. So we continue next. So for the prerequisites for this program, you should have basic computer literacy and basic math skills. Computer literacy doesn't mean you should have a programming experience. It just means basic how to handle the computer. Like you all know, very basic computer, closing, opening, like that. Nothing much. Then you need basic math skills. You must know what is addition, subtraction. That you must be knowing. You all have created JE, obviously. Then you need computer and headphones for the to listen to the recordings and to attend the sessions. And there optional is an Android device and a USB cable. If you have an Android device, it's very good that it's very good, and you can use it with a USB cable to use your to see your apps on your mobile while you make it. If you don't have an Android device, that's not an issue. There's an Android virtual device on Android Studio. You can use that also, and we will see how to use it. So the learning objectives. So throughout this program, you will learn some building. You will learn how to build some basic Android apps using Kotlin and set up Android Studio on your computer. Today we will learn some basics of Kotlin programming language also. And at the last, we will share some resources for you to continue learning Kotlin programming language as well as Android development. So we have prepared a tentative timeline for the whole program. So today we are having our introductory session. Then the next session, we have 3 sessions more. The sessions and the dates of the session are just tentative. It may increase depending upon the students' interest and how well the freshers cope up to the programming basics. And the dates are also tentative. First, the next session is planned on 20 December. It may be shifted before if most of you are comfortable with it. In the next session, we will have we will make some apps, basic apps using Android Studio. In the following session, we will add some designing and make apps user-friendly by adding the functionality of user inputs and some multi-screen apps like that. And the next session, we will have some app building sessions where we will make some more complicated apps. Also, for those and at the end of this program, we will have a 10-day duration where all those who are interested will make a single app. The app idea will be decided. It's not decided yet. And we will make a single app with facilitators guiding you, and facilitators will also contribute, and that app will be submitted to Google. If Google finds that app interesting, it will be showcased on their social media handles, and all of you will get recognition for that. Yeah. And apart from these sessions, we will have some programming basic sessions for those who are finding it difficult to cope up with the programming basics, especially those who are new to programming. As well as we will have some doubt sessions if anybody is facing any issue with the Google, with the Android Studio. Yeah. So you need to download Android Studio for developing apps. So I will walk through how to install Android Studio on your device. You don't need to install it right now because it will take a lot of computer resources. Your internet and your laptop speed will reduce if you download it right now. You can do it after the meeting, and we will share some YouTube links for you to refer to while installing it. I will show how you will do it. First of all, to install Android Studio, you need to have Java installed on your computer. To check if Java is installed or not, you open your command prompt and write Java space minus version. Team members, please put these syntax and codes of line of codes please on the chat link also. So if you get this message Java version 16, just a minute guys. Yeah. If you get this type of this type of result like Java version something number and date, this means that Java is already installed on your computer. If you get some other response or you get some error message, that means Java is not installed on your computer. So you should go Google Java JDK download, then go to the first website, Java Downloads by Oracle. When you open it, so now choose your operating system. Like most of you would have Windows. Those who have Mac use this, and with Linux this. In Windows, you select the 64 installer and make sure to install the exe file, the executable file, and it will take some time to download, and then follow the on-screen instructions to completely download Java. The video resource that we are sharing has all the steps mentioned in that, so you can refer to it if you face any problem. But the on-screen instructions are very clear, so you won't face any issue. After the Java is installed, make sure to check if it's installed by running this command again, java minus version. The response should be like this. The number may be different based on your Java version. Then you should Google Android Studio download. Go to the first website by developer.android.com, and the website will automatically detect your operating system. If it doesn't, if it shows some incorrect operating system, you can go to the download options and choose the right download file for you, and then click the download Android Studio button. The Android Studio is a bit large. It shows 1 GB here, approx 1 GB. So it will take some time. Also, after installing, it will take some additional downloads and take around half an hour or 45 minutes to completely install, based on your network speed. If your network speed is very good, it will install very quickly.
Aniket, one of the students is telling you to repeat the end process.
Sorry, which process?
The ending part. Just repeat that once.
Okay, so like Java, install the Java, go to this Java JDK download, and then choose your operating system and install the executable file. And after this file is downloaded, install the Java using on-screen instructions. Then when Java is installed, go to your command prompt and check if Java is installed or not. Sometimes there may be some issue. So write Java minus version to see if Java is installed or not. After Java is installed, you should search Android Studio download. Go to this website, developerandroidstudio.com, and this website will automatically detect your operating system, and you can download the Android Studio from here. If it doesn't show, I have faced some cases where it shows some wrong operating system. Then go to download options and choose the right downloadable file for you. And since it's a bit large file, so it will take some time, about half an hour to completely set up. So please be patient while the Android Studio is being installed. And also please do not open many applications during the installation process. It will hamper the computer speed. Yeah. And we will provide, I guess, others, please provide those links also. If you don't have, I will provide, no problem. Yeah. Yeah. And also, if you face any issues while installing, please put it on the WhatsApp group, and we can have some one session where I can install. Maybe I can show how complete process goes on, but it will take some time. So yeah. So in the whole program, there are 6 units, and each unit has some pathways associated with it. After you complete a pathway, there will be a quiz related to what you have learned till now. And after you answer all the questions correctly in the quiz, a quiz generally has 4 to 5 questions. If you answer all the quiz correct, you will get a badge. So in total, you will get 16 batches after completing this program. and you can showcase your batches on your Google developer profile as well as share those batches on your LinkedIn profile too. So these are the courses that these are the lessons we are going to go through in this session, in this whole program. So first of all, we will see the introduction to Kotlin, which we will do now in 10 minutes. So first will be the introduction to Kotlin, where we will learn how to program in Kotlin, which is the language through which Android apps operate now. It's the official language for developing Android apps and provided by Google. Then in the next session, we will go on to create our first app, and we will run that app on our Android Studio, and we will customize it by making a birthday greeting app, and we will add some buttons to the app to make the app more interactive. Then we will add some user inputs. We will ask for user inputs and display a scrollable list. And then these all will be on single screen apps. Then we will move to multi-screen apps. Nobody likes single screen apps much, so we will see how we make multi-screen apps and navigate between all these screens. Then we will make our app look more better using the architecture components provided by Kotlin and coroutines and some internet REST APIs. Finally, we will also learn about some local databases like SQL Room and Flow, and see how data is stored by an Android app on your local device. Like whenever you log in into WhatsApp, the next time you visit an app, you don't have to log in again. It's stored in your computer but if you change device, you have to log in. So we will see how we will work, how we handle those issues. Yeah, and finally, we will learn about Work Manager. Work Manager is an API that helps us to handle background works, the works that will happen even if your app is closed. Like all of you know, Gmail, WhatsApp, all these work in the background also. So we will see how we can make our app work like that also. So if you open your Android Basics in Kotlin course, this is how it looks. Someone please share it on chat, please. Yeah. So the first unit in that is Kotlin Basics for Android, in which you will learn how to program in Kotlin. Don't worry if you don't have any programming experience. We will take you from the basic level, from scratch, and to advanced level. So each unit has a pathway. What is a pathway? Pathway is a sequence of teaching lessons. It may be a video, it may be some article, it may be some code lab. Code lab means some coding practices. So they will have minimum of 4 these activities in a pathway, and every pathway is followed by a quiz. Quiz will contain some 4 to 5 questions which you will need to answer. After you answer all of them correctly, you will get a badge for that, and there is no restriction on number of times you can take this quiz. But I recommend that if you get some question wrong, then go back to the course and check and revise the topic before taking the quiz again. So after you complete a quiz, you will earn badges. So it's for a lot of theory. So let's move to some practical. Now Atharva will guide you how to you can program in Kotlin in your browser only. So yeah, please don't hesitate if you have any problem while understanding the code. Put it in the chat or raise your hand. We will answer that. Yeah, over to you, Atharva.
Thank you, Aniket. One second. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's visible, Atharva.
Okay, so hello, it's me, Atharva, and today we're going to talk about very basic things in Kotlin or and for Android development. So as you all know that what we are primarily going to do is that we're going to, at the end of this session, what is our goal? It's just to make an app, right? So for that we have to choose a language. Let it be Java, let it be Kotlin. So through the means of this course, we'll be going with Kotlin, and I'm pretty sure Kotlin will be easier than Java. So initially, let us understand about what Kotlin is. Before that, how many of you know how to code? Like, how many of you have a prior experience? Either raise your hand or put it in chats so that we get an idea. All right. Okay, all right, all right. So it's a big number. So anyways, for all those of you who do not know how to code, like you have no prior knowledge, no worries, because we're going to start from the very basic. And for the rest who are having idea of how to code and not in Kotlin, so let us just understand how the syntax is, right? So there's something called documentation. What is documentation? So Kotlin doc. So this is the place which contains all the resources regarding Kotlin. So if you just Google Kotlin doc, so this is basically everything which is in updated manner. Let it be the Kotlin, which Kotlin version is going on. Then you have basic concepts of Kotlin. So there's a lot which goes on over here, right? So today, let's first understand on the basic things what we use in coding. So these are, now first I would be telling you about the basic syntaxes. So what is a syntax? The thing is that the code compiler or ID, whatever you're using, that does not understand. A computer does not understand your English. Like it doesn't understand normal English what we speak, but they do understand some. What actually computer understands is just zero ones, binaries, right? So primarily, what we have to do is to code in some particular regulated manner, so that the computer would understand on what we are doing. So first, let us understand the basic thing. So okay, all right. So as I told you, this is the documentation for Kotlin. And here we go to basic syntax. So here is where you would find each and everything on how to start coding from basics to the end, so that everything is covered online. So in case you don't know which YouTube video to follow, or which course to follow basically, so you can just come onto this website and have a look on how to code in Kotlin. So yeah, this is basically, there's a documentation for every language. So what is the very basic thing in while you're coding? That is a statement called print statement. So what do we conceive from print is that we are printing out something, we are giving out some output, right? So before that, let's understand. So this is the code. This is some code which computer understands, and this is what is necessary for us. Hello world. So this is the thing. Now let me show you how to code this. So when you open Playground, so some of you must have downloaded IntelliJ IDE for coding in Java or Kotlin. But you know, when you come onto this website, this is a fun place wherein you could code online. This doesn't take your place in your device. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, here you got the output. So this is like very basic thing while you're coding. So Adarsh, in the main course, you can put in the Maggie questions so that we can give some shout out to all those people who answer them correctly. So yeah, this is something which is print statement. Now some of you must have done C++, Python, so you must be familiar with how this works. So what is fun main? This is a main function. What does fun stand for? Function. So now there's a story behind why you have fun and not def like you have in C++. So what the developers have said, probably this could not be even the truth, but yeah, this is what they say. As Kotlin is a functional language, and that is why they have this fun for it. So basically, this is how a function is defined. So this is a main function. What does a main function mean? So if you have a lot of code, like I'll just show you uh, comparatively a bigger code. So if suppose this is some random code, you need not understand on what this is. So if I give it output, it gives me the sum. So I've given the input as 4 and 5. It gives me the sum. So now if I give it a 5, 5 plus 5, it should give me a 10, right? So this is the main function which we have, and below to which we have various functions. I will be talking about these functions later on, but yeah, initially let's just understand what the main function is. What does this main signify for, right? So what if I remove this statement? What if the statement is not there in my code? And this is not there. So if I run, I wouldn't be getting any output, though I have another functions which are doing its work, but I wouldn't get any output because what the language or compiler does is that it checks for this function called main, and whatever is there in it, it would run that. So I'm pretty sure this wouldn't be clear to some of you who haven't, who do not know how to code. But yeah, feel no need to worry. We'll talk about it. So here, what is the takeaway? How to print something. So there are two ways of printing. One is print server and if I run this is my output. If I give it a space, then I would have Atharva Bhanage. So there's a way to get this thing in the other line. So you just put a println
/n.
Yeah, /n also works, but yeah, this instead of having /n, you can directly have println and you can get the output in the next line. So both of them works. So yeah, these are the basic two ways of how you print, right? This is print. So print gives in the same line, println gets it on the next line. So this is about the basic thing that is printing. Now let's go on to the next part, that is functions. Before functions, let us talk about variables. So look, how do I define a variable? Now let's take the example of this code. Now, as you can see, this is the way I'm defining something. All right. If I run this, I'm getting some output as a equal to 1, b equal to 2, c equal to 3. Now, if I change this to var, I'll still get the same output. So now you guys must be wondering on how, I mean, how is it working? Like what is the sense of having two things like val and var at the end? Because because we're getting the same output, then what is the use of having both of them? Does anyone know? You guys can unmute and say, or you can put it in the chat. Anyone who knows the difference between val and var? Anyone?
Val is constant,
Mm-hmm.
and var means variable, means we can vary the data.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. What's your name? What's your name?
Anubhav Chakravarti.
All right, cool. So yeah, he has told the right answer. So let us understand what it is practically. Okay. Now, suppose I take this. So if I set val equal to 2, equal to 1. I've gotten an error because val stands for value, and value cannot be changed. So let's say we have pi is 3.14. So, at times you need not change everything because pi cannot have a value as 5.42, something of the sort. So at that point of time, you use something called val. All right. So this wouldn't work for val, but now what if I say var? Var stands for variable. So basically, val is value and var is variable. All right. So this is what it is. So value cannot be changed, but we're in variable. So let's say you have a function y equal to x. So x can be anything. So x over there is a variable, right? So it can be changed. So here this is variable, it can be changed. So that's why we did not get an error. If I mute change it, then I'll get an no wait. If I have a value, I'll get an error. So yeah, this I hope this is clear. This is basic thing. So you have two of these. Now let's say there are various things in while you're coding, especially in Kotlin. Python, you wouldn't be having this issue, but when you're doing it in C++, Java, or Kotlin, you have something, you have to always define what you need to define. In Kotlin, you need not define it every single time, but it is a good practice to define what this is. So here you can clearly see this is int. If I keep this in quotes and write to, this is no more an int. This becomes a string, right? So primarily for this moment and for this whole course, we'll just be talking about these two things: string, int, integer, and a string. So what is a string? String is basically a collection of characters. Let it be, it can be numbers, it can be an alphabet, can be alphabet in caps, it can be characters, it can be anything basically. But int can only be numbers, right? Integers basically. Okay. So here if I want, I can do this, but okay, I got an error. Why? Because here I'm saying I want an int, but here I'm giving it a string. How do you call a string? It's basically with these two quotes. Now if I do this, a code would work. So here it's basically I'm defining the type of what variable a is. So here we have int. Now if I want to define it as a string, again I get an error. Why? Because for string you need to
Given is integer and defined string.
absolutely
No double quotes.
yeah, no double quotes. So now if I have kept the double quote and I run it, it works. So this is basically, you need not define this, but it's a good practice again. This also works, but yeah, it's always a good practice. So now we have talked about how to print something, and we have talked about how to define or a variable or a value, right? So now how to use these things. At the end, what is necessary is to boil every single thing down to a function. What is a function? You guys must be knowing. You guys have cleared J. So function is y equal to f of x. Okay, so this is a function. So if y is the function, f of x is something what we are giving to the function. So let us understand this in terms of coding, what it is. This is a code for how to do some summation of two numbers, right? All right. So as you guys already know what a main function is, but now this is some function which you can create on your own, so to facilitate what you need to do. If you want, you can always print over here. Print a plus b. You would still get the same output. Oh wait, I've not defined a and b over here. 1 second. Equal to a equal to 3. B equal to 3. Print a plus b. So wait, let me comment this part out. And now you can see why is it given? Okay, yeah. Now you can see it has given me a plus b. So if I want, I can always do this, but there are three R's for there are three R's in coding, and one of them is reusability of code. So if I want to do summation of sum of two numbers for multiple number of times, if I want to do 3 plus 4, 3 plus 5, 3 plus 7, so I need not every time print in this way. What I can really do is just, this is just a very basic example, but when you go into complex code, you'll understand the need of this. So this is just a way to make your code reusable. All right. So yeah, let us understand what does this code stand for. This is just the basic syntax. This is the fun for function. What is this? This is the name of that function. So here we have the function main, right? Here we have a function which is sum, and it has two variables. So like if you have y equal to f of x, we have just one variable, that is x. But here we have two variables, that is a, and the other one is b. A is, so what does this thing stand for? So A, what is the type of A? That is int. What is the type of B? That is int. All right. But now you guys must be wondering what this is. Anyone who knows what does this int stand for?
Integer.
No, I obviously that is an integer, but why have I?
Output of that sum
Uh-huh.
will be in
Sum
any
of
form.
A and B will be an integer.
All right, great.
Yes.
Great. So
It
why
shows the return type of the function.
Yeah, it shows the return type of the function. So this is the return. What does return mean? It is giving out a value. So if I just give return and I don't print over here, if I just call the function, so right now it is returning, so it is giving me this error. But if I remove, wait, my bad.
A and B is
Oh,
not
yeah, here I'm
defined.
putting written, right. So issue, 1 second.
Value of A and B.
Okay, all right, my bad. So 1 second. Yeah, okay, all right. So this is just a return type of int. If you don't want to return anything, if you're not returning anything, so it's just a null thing. So you need not have int over here. All right. So when you're doing a plus b, it is returning a plus b. Now this a plus b is not in a string. So integer plus integer gives you an integer. So that is what I'm primarily returning over here. All right. So when you return, you can either store it over here in some variable c equal to this. You can store it in this way, or you can directly print it. That depends upon how you want to proceed with it.
But that
Variable
second
A and B is not defined.
Okay, no, I've written fun. Everything was different. I've written fun over here. No, that's why it was giving me error. All right, no issues. So yeah, that is how you make another function. This function is basically how to sum. So what I've done, a plus b. Now let's see how to let's give it sum only. So this will, now I've kept it a minus, so it will give me the subtraction of a minus b. So this is how you can return. You can obviously have some code in middle, like doing various crazy things, what you'll be working on later on, but this is just you guys to understand what function is. So I have something more for functions. Let me see. Here I'll explain you some more code. I included that, 1 second. Yeah, so here I would be showing you something. 1 second. Yeah. So why did I write the similar code? This is basically a function which gives you a plus b. But for what I want to show you in this, that what am I doing in this? This is our main function, right? I have defined a value, that is greeting. So greeting stands for hey. So I have called a function over here, sum greeting. So I have passed this value hey over here. I have 4 and 5. What would happen? This main function would call this sum function, right? And it would print a. What is a? Now, if you can see, I have given string over here, and I haven't given any output type like int or string. Why? Because I'm not returning anything, right? I'm not returning. I'm just printing some values. So this main function called this sum function, wherein I'm printing this a. What is a? A over here is for greeting. So I'm getting hey over here. But how I'm getting 9? I've done something called print final sum, and I've given it B and C. So the reason I've done this is because I wanted to show you how that you can call one function from another function. So yeah, here you have same function which I've shown you doing sum a plus b. It gives you a 9. Why 9? Because we have passed 4 and 5. So this is what functions are. These are various functions which you can do code according to your own ease. Now this was about functions. I hope it is clear. If anyone of you have any doubt, you can ask in chats. All right. Value also we have talked about. Now let us go to comments. What is comment? Comment is basically the way of telling the compiler that this particular line need not be executed. It is just for people to understand what it is. Or if suppose there's this line and I don't want to, what do you say? I don't want this line to run. So basically I don't want this final function to be called. What would I do? I'll just put comments over here. How do you put comments? You can either manually put backward slash, or you can just press control backslash to comment and uncomment it out. So this is the way you comment. For commenting multiple lines, so instead of having like double slash for every single line, what you can do, you can just put backslash, asterisk, backslash. So this whole part will get commented out. So this is something about comments. Now, this is the most important part which you guys need to know. For all those with prior coding experience, this would be very easy for you. But for the rest who haven't started how to code, I really recommend you guys to practice these conditional expressions, for loops, while loops, when probably you would be using this when a lot in Android, but for rest, it depends on what place you're working on. So yeah, let's understand conditional expressions. So what is conditional expression? The name itself says condition. So if it doesn't rain today, I will go out. No, if it rains today, I'll go out with an umbrella. Or else, I will go out without an umbrella. So what condition I'm giving? That if it rains, then I'll do something, or else I have other options, right? So that is basically the same thing in coding. So as in this code, you can see, first you have your main function. I'm printing something. By the way, if you guys don't know why is there a dollar over here? And when I run this code, I don't see any dollar. So reason behind this is because dollar is a way of saying that whatever I have written after this dollar is a variable kind of thing which I'm calling, or a function which I'm calling. So I'll be calling function over here. I've given this curl brackets because I'm returning something. So it's a value. So that's why I'm printing this, and that's why I've kept a dollar. Yeah, you can go ahead, Ayush.
So, Bhaiya, you are giving the values A and B as 0 and 42, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just confirming.
Yeah, all right. So basically, what is this? I'm calling a function max of. This gives me maximum of. Let me show you how it is working. So here I've given the value 0 and 42, right? If I run, I'm getting maximum of these two, that is 42. If I give a 56, I get a 56 because what is this main function doing? It is calling a function which is max of, which gives you the maximum value. So these are two things. I have a variable A, I have a variable B. So if A is greater than B, then return A. Else return B. So this is the same kind of thing the example I gave you. So if it rains, then I'll go out with an umbrella, or else I wouldn't take an umbrella. So if this condition is satisfied, so what we need to understand, we have understood functions, but here our kingpin thing is if statement, else statement. There's something called else if also, but I'll talk about it later on. First, let us understand what if is. So if some condition is satisfied, so what you give in these two brackets is some condition. So if this is true, if this is hold, if A is greater than B, then go into this, or else leave this thing, get into this else block, right? But what if I have this option? If it is raining, go out with an umbrella, and if it is cold, go out with a sweater, or else just go out. So I have something called, I need not do if again. If I do if again, then I'll have two outputs, one for this, one for if any other condition is satisfied. But this all the languages give you something called elif or else if. So here you have else if A equal to B. So instead of giving max off, if A is greater than B, print A. If A equal to B, at the end it is both of them are same. So I either return A or I return B. It is the same thing, but this is just for you guys to understand that there's something called else if also. So if this is not satisfied, the compiler, what does compiler understand? Compiler doesn't directly go from if to else. It looks at this else if in middle, and if this is not satisfied, then we'll go to the else statement. Else is basically just the default thing. So if nothing above it is working out, do the ending part. So that is what else is. So now let us run this code. You'll get the same output because A is not equal to B. So what if I give it a 42? Okay. So it is giving me 42 because it wouldn't enter this because A is not, A over here is 42, B over here is also 42. So this condition is not being satisfied. But what is getting satisfied is this. So if I print, so as you can see, this line is not running. You're not getting this output. Why? Because when you call this function, it is not entering into this if, because A over here is equal to B. So you do not just write A equal to B. You need to write A double equal to B, and then you are returning B. So now if I copy this and put it over here. So here, now you can see A is equal to B. So this statement has run. So here you can observe that when one block runs, the other doesn't. So this is about if, else if, and else. And it's highly recommended if you guys practice this, if you have no idea about how to code in any other language. So yeah, you can start with Kotlin because Kotlin is very easy. People say Python is easy. I would say Python and Kotlin is easy. So yeah, almost both of them don't have much changes when you are at the beginning stage. So we have what all have we understood today? We have understood printing, functions, variables, comments, then classes. We wouldn't be talking right now. We'll be talking about it later on when we are into developing an app. So then we have talked about conditional expressions. Now what is left for today's course is for loop, while loop, when, and probably I'll cover the ranges part in this for loop as well. So what is for loop? For loop is a single statement. So to execute everything at a time. So let's say, let me show you this with an example. Okay. Wait, I have already pre-coded an example for you guys. Let me show you this. You need not understand the complications of what dot dot and what is the solve. But now if you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as an output. If I do this to and if I comment this out, so control backslash, and if I run, primarily I'm getting the same output. But if you can see, if I want to, if you would be like, why not just do this? But what if I tell you to print from 1 to 500? So instead of typing manually from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what you can really do is that just have a for loop. You can even use a while loop, but yeah, here first we'll talk about for loop. So for what does for loop do? It is something, it iterates thing. It iterates from one place to another given some condition is satisfied. So here what I have written, for items in 1 to 5, this double dot stand for range from 1 to 5. In Python, C++, you do not include the end part, but here we include the 1 and we do include the 5, as you can clearly observe from here. We have 1 and we have 5. So if I give 1 to 6, I'm getting a count from 1 to 6. So this is what for loop is. It basically iterates things. You can have various functions over here. You can call various functions, but yeah, for now let's go into the basic. There's one more way. Instead of having range, let me first show you what range are. So these people haven't explained it very well, so I've shown this thing to you. Okay, anyways, so range is basically just from this to this. That is what you're saying. So that is what range stands for. Now you have something called list of. So what is list of? So you have various data types in a coding language. In C++, you have STL, which you can use to extend lot many of these. Here you use Java utils, so that you can have access to various data types. It means to make your coding process easy. So what is list of this? Now I'm pretty sure most of you know this, but list is something, it's a bag. Okay, let's imagine a bag and it has various things aligned in a way. So that is what list stands for. So I have an item, and in this item I have various things. So if value is item, then I'm printing something. So as you have seen in the previous code, I have kept these double dots, which says from this to this. But here there's a new way of expressing a for loop, that is for item in items. So there are multiple items which we have over here. We have apple, banana, kiwi fruit, and then we are printing item. So basically this items is list, and this item is an item. So basically for item in items, for item in a bag, so you're printing that item particularly. So what if I remove a part from it? Then I'll just get these two as output, because primarily there are only these two things in my bag. I have nothing else from this, so I'm printing these. So this is what a for loop is. All right, now let's move on to a while loop. If you guys have understood how if statements work, then understanding how while loops work wouldn't be a issue for you guys. Yeah. So here I have the same example, but I have coded this in instead of using for loop, I have used while loops. Primarily, what work can be done by a for loop could be done by a while loop, but yeah, at the end there are some things which differ, because for loop you have to define a condition where it should end. I mean, not a condition, but a place where it should end. But for loop, it's just a way of expressing. You're expressing a thing in a different way. You look good. This is one way of expressing. You look beautiful. This is another way of expressing. So it is just the way we code. So here, what is while loop? So as clear, if you have seen an if statement, we give if, yes, we have given some condition. And if this condition is satisfied, then we move on to this code. And if this condition is not satisfied, then we just go into the next line, right? So that is primarily the same thing with while loops. Just the thing with while loop is that until that condition is satisfied, it will keep on rotating itself. So that is what while loop is. So as you can see here, I haven't given, if I just have a if statement and I call some function once. So if I just give in item of first index, then I'll just get an output apple. But what if I want to call every individual item of this whole items? Then I will use a while loop. So while index, so you guys must not be knowing what index is, right? Let me show you. So let's say this is a bag, this is a list, this is the 0 index, this is the index 1, this is the index 2, and it goes so on. So this is something to observe, that your index starts from 0, not from 1. All right. So what do I put? Right. So while initially what do I have? We have index as 0, right? And let me print index. This whole thing. So when index is 0, so what, this is index. So when index is 0, at place 0 I have apple, at place 1 I have a banana, and at place 2 I have kiwi fruit, right? So this is what index stands for. Now what is item dot size? It is basically the size of the whole bag what you have. So what is the size of this? This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So the item dot size would be equal to 3. Now if you guys don't believe it, println. So the size of this whole thing is 3. So while this index is less than the size, this while loop is running. So what if I give this a 2? Even though I have kiwi fruit over here, but you can see that I cannot see kiwi fruit in the output. Why? Because this condition does not satisfy after that, because at index 2, 2 is equal to 2. So index equal to 2. So primarily this is, so 2 is not greater than index. Hence this condition is not satisfied. Hence we break out of while loop. So while loop is something, you guys need to be cautious about, because if you go in an infinite loop, so if I just put a true over here, then you would be getting an error, because the PC reaches its computational limit, and hence you get an error. So yeah, this is basically about while loop. So while loop, while some condition satisfy, work with the code which is given in middle of it. So yeah, this is about while loop. What else do I need to cover? When. All right, let me show you. So yeah, this is the main function. I have something called when. And so if some of you guys who have done C++ or Java, you guys know, you guys must be knowing what a range operator is, right? So I'll be showing you this at end. So let us first understand what this code actually is. What is it doing? You can relate this to an if statement if you guys observe it carefully. So something of that sort, but this is, you can understand this further on. If x equal to 1, then what is it printing? It is printing this x is 1. If x equal to 5, let's say, it is printing just 5. So here also you have, if this thing is satisfied, you have an arrow and you print something. So basically, when this condition, when this x is this is true, then you get this whole line as an output. Same thing goes with this. Same thing goes with this. Or else, what if the number is not 1, the number is not 2, number is not 3? Then what to do? There's a default thing called else. Like you have seen in if and else statement in conditional statements. Here you have else. So you just print 5 over here. So you're getting the output 5. Uh, 1 second. So yeah, the main function x equal to 5. When x is 1, then I'll get an output this. Now let us understand how to use the range operations. What is range operation? You have these 2 dots from this to this, right? So how do you essentially call this? So right now what we had, the else block was called. Why? Because these conditions weren't being satisfied. But what if I want to show a range, that if some number exists from 1 to 50, then you print this, or else go on with the next lines and whatever works out, do that, or else you obviously have the default statement, that is else. So yeah, if I run this code, x lies in 1 to 50. Now you have seen that I haven't got this output as 5. I've got x lies in 50. So as 5 is in the range of 1 to 50, you have got this thing as true. So that is about when statement. We'll be looking at when statements more while we are making an app, because this would be of very handy, this is actually a very useful thing while you are making an Android app. So yeah, these are just the basic things. I would recommend you guys again to practice what for, while loops are, if statements and when statements. So, and obviously about functions later on. Yeah, Ayush, you can go ahead. This is basically all from my side. So now we can.
Where in that previous
Proceed.
all example, in that index where where index was initialized to 0, there if we initialize index to 1,
Yeah.
then will the program work?
Yeah, the program would work. Wait, let me show it to you. But program will work from the first index, not from the 0 index.
Because Apple is assigned to be 0, right?
So
Means it
exactly.
start with 0.
Yeah, it will start. So if you have apple, banana, and kiwi, so when you start from index 1, apple wouldn't be printed out. You will have from banana and kiwi. As apple is at 0, so neglect it.
Okay,
Print
yes.
1 and 2. Yeah. So
Yes.
how to,
Atharva, please show how to ask for input and store it and print later using the read line function.
repeat that again, bro.
Please ask for the write the code for asking inputs from the user, like we used to where input is equal to read line.
Yeah, we'll show that later on, because the thing is that people can use that while they're coding, because abhi bataya, it will again drag it out.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Also, the students will not be needing inputs in while programming in Android.
Yeah.
So that's not an issue.
You will have it. So there you will get there's a different way of getting input in Android. That's why I'm not covering that part right now. If you guys have any other doubt, you can put it in chats. We'll be answering them. Till then, Aniket, you can go ahead with the further session. Thank you guys for being interactive and asking doubts. Yeah, that's it all. That's all from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Atharv. That was really an amazing session on Kotlin. So let's continue on our program guides. Yeah. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Aniket.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So, coming on to the benefits you will receive from this attending this program. So, first of all, you must remember that learning is more important than any material rewards. So, through this program, you will learn how to develop some great Android apps, and you will be guided by me as well as other team members, and so that you can you can become a good Android developer, and you can take this as an your job as a job prospect also. Like there are some other also like web developers and Android developers, but I must say that Android developers earn much more than a web developer. So it's a great job opportunity if you want to work in Android. So talking about the benefits that Google provides, you will get a certificate of completion after you complete all the 6 units. Also, there is a certification provided by Google, which is known as Google Android Developer Associate Certification. It's recommended if you are in the Android domain. If you are looking for any Android jobs, it's considered a very good certification to have. So it originally cost US dollar 149, which translates to about 11,000 in Indian rupees. So that's a hefty amount to pay. If you complete this program, you will get a 80% fee reimbursement directly from the Google for that program. So that's a good deal if you are really interested in going into the Android domain. Other than that, you will get guidance from facilitator as well as team members to develop user-friendly apps. You can always consult us if you want to make your own app. And also, we will be making an app towards the end of this program. We all will be making an app together, and that will be submitted to Google. And if the Google finds it appropriate, it will be shared on in their social media profiles also. So that's all from us. If you have any questions, please type in the chat box. We will answer, or you can directly unmute and ask also.
But yeah, from where can we practice this Kotlin language?
Yes, for
Any
Kotlin
government
language, we will
website?
be providing some resources to you. You can refer the Kotlin docs that we just showed, or you can refer some YouTube videos also. And also the basic part of the Kotlin that you saw today. This is what you will need for programming in Android Studio. There is one concept more that is known as object-oriented programming that you will need in Android development. So we recommend that you first master your not master, just understand the basics of the Kotlin language, and then go on to the object-oriented programming. We will share some resources. Also, we can have some session if you are facing any issues with the object-oriented programming. Yeah.
Okay.
Do have any doubt or errors after we install Android Studio updated and about that? Like,
Sorry, your voice is
I will
breaking a
give
lot.
my
Can you please type in the chat if possible?
If we have any errors or
Yeah, we will share.
traffic,
Yeah,
Android Studio, then whom to contact?
yeah, you can post your doubt on the WhatsApp group. We will be there to answer. Also, we can have some doubt session if you are having any problem in downloading the Android Studio. And we will share a video that shows step-by-step method how to download Android Studio. So there will be no issue.
So I have already
Soham, we will
downloaded the
share
Android
the
Studio
meeting
3.0.
recording. Okay.
I've already downloaded the 3.0 version,
Sorry.
and so do
Yeah.
I need to uninstall it and download the latest one, or just update it?
No, you can just update it from the Android Studio itself. You can go to the help section and just update your Android Studio.
Okay.
Yeah. Nellore, you can practice some Kotlin language and learn the object-oriented programming, and download the Android Studio. Get familiar with it. We will be making you familiar with the Android Studio as well, but you can look it up on your own also. But till the next session, please make sure that you know the basics of Kotlin language well. Also, please join the WhatsApp group if you have not already joined. and fill the registration form. It's necessary if you want to claim the rewards. Nandaluri, fee reimbursement will be applicable from 10th January onwards. So you can take that exam for the certification between 10th January and 30th March. And if you give within this time period, your fee will be reimbursed up to 80%. Shivam, we have not decided the next session fixed. Tentatively, it will be on 20th December, but that's not sure. Kunal, you can convert it to public, and if there is a change in Google Developer Profile, I don't know if Developer Profile changes or not. If it changes, you can edit the form again. Yeah. So I guess there are no more questions. So thank you so much, guys, for joining this session. We will be meeting again and develop some great Android applications. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
थैंक यू भाई।
Just the team is left now, right? Anyone here who's not from the team that organized this session?
Everyone left.
Cool. So, a great session, everyone. Really, really good. I have a couple of things to say. So, first of all, great that you mentioned the importance of. Okay.